We are live despite me not sending Coach Frenchy the link earlier.
Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to another great early edition of the Hockey Nation Live Show. This is your coach, Coach Frenchy, directly from South Florida. And we have to go all the way to the West Coast to find Michael Devellano.
Thank you, Pierre. I'm sorry about that. I set everything up and I forgot to send Coach the link. So we had all of our protected lists come out, and we've all had a kind of chance to go through it. I came up with one mock draft simulation we can run through, and I don't say it's the right one, but it's one idea. Were you surprised by some of the players exposed over the weekend?
No, we talked about this all night yesterday about those expansion, although they exposed. So there, of course, you have a couple of players like Carey Price and Tarasenko and Bailey, and we talk about that. But, we'll see what the Kraken is going to do. Every time that, the big news this morning is about Carey Price because now everybody's upset about that situation. Every time that the owners just gave the okay to Ron Francis to pick him. So that'd be really interesting about that. And that's the one that really was the big news for this morning. Everybody talk about this. Some people thinking it's the best thing for Mike Bergevin. Some are upset, but that's what's happening.
It's really interesting. Does your gut say that they'll actually pick him?
Say again?
Does your gut tell you that they'll actually pick him?
The people are upset right now around the league is because now they mention about the injury of Carey Price only like a couple of minutes, couple of days before this, and then they give a chance maybe to protect Jake Allen. And some are skeptical about the injury, return that. Now that the conversation is okay, now you try to play a game like a poker game where you go around every time that. So at the end of the day, if Carey Price is going to be out for the year or then 6 months because you have a hip injury, every time that, now they're going to that would confirm what Mike Bergevin is doing. But right now, it's just assume it could be hurt. So they try to figure out with the Kraken if it's right or wrong or not. Or the Kraken pick him. Okay, the problem, they cannot return him to Montreal.
Right.
So that's the problem. They are stuck with him. So imagine they sign him, but he have an injury, and now he's out for the year. They have to give him $11 million September 1st.
I mean, it seems like, listen, we're giving you fair notice that he's injured. Otherwise, whatever, we're not going to expose our superstar goalie. It could be a chess match, and that's fine. But I think they're going to have to disclose the details of it. And if something funky comes out, it's going to come out in the wash, right? Like, you can't play games like with that. Is the doctor appointment after the draft? Is that the problem?
I'm sorry again?
Is his doctor appointment after the draft?
It's going to be Friday.
So it's after the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little weird, right? Because he could go, oh, he's fine. Doctor says he's fine. You didn't pick him.
That's the problem they have right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I'm Seattle, I'm not biting on this. The contract's already crazy. I think we said this yesterday. I think you've seen the best of Carey Price. He's not getting any younger, and I don't see them making that type of run again. I mean, I think between him and Weber, like they pulled the rabbit out of the hat and it's out, right? So now they're both paying the price because they're older guys. And if I'm Seattle, I'm building something different. I don't know. There's some really good goalie options, which we'll talk about today. Hello to Adam, by the way. Hello to Kimberly this morning. Michael Rosenblatt joined us, and then Chainsaw Man. So good morning to everybody. Adam says it would make sense. Price and his wife are from BC and family is in BC. And we know that Washington is across the border. So I guess that could be something. But why would he want to leave Montreal? I mean,
it's like you said, like his wife's from Washington, so his family is over there for sure. He's 35 years old, and he don't want to live. What happening is at the end of the year, at the end of the season, they got that hip knee injury. That's what, honestly, that's what we talk about. Secondly, Jake Allen, he was already knew by the Kraken is going to pick him. And the reason why he believed he maybe not be ready or play for the number of month,
Yep.
he opened up his contract to give a permission to keep Jake Allen to Montreal. That's
Sure.
how the story from Carey Price. On the flip side now, the Kraken consider better more and more to pick him about that one over there. So um,
It's interesting. I think that the Dragger signing and then picking up a couple other
but
goalies.
for 90% of people in Montreal for years, they hammer Mike Bergevin every day.
I know.
Too much money, too much money. Carey Price, too much money. Carey Price don't this. Carey Price don't do that. And Carey Price and money. Trade him. And now he's naming him. Now people, oh no, we don't trade him anymore. And
it seems weird. It's typical though, right? Like fans are fans, and I think he's making the right calls. The GM.
And you have to go what? Season 14, maybe 15, when he have an amazing great run. Like he got like he won all the trophy, like 4 or 5, right? So about 5 years ago, I believe. So since that, if you look about his stat for the last 4 years, you get 260, 2.60, 0.904. He become an average. I'm not saying he's an average goalie. He's an average around the stat about around in NHL during the season. He have a great run this year as a goaltender to bring that part over there. But you know what he remind me? Remember, like he just get retired. Picard Rini, when he did in 2016 with the Nashville Predator, he bring that team all the way to the final, right? Since that, after that, he never bring back the team, and he never been Rini like he did. So for me, it's this part over there.
Yep.
Without Weber, Philippe Danault is gone now. It's confirmed today he sold his house.
Wow.
Yeah. So Danault's leaving. Weber's not coming back. Now, the chance to be like they was is different right now.
It's different.
So for me, I think it's time maybe he's considered to do other option about that one over there. But at the end of the day, it would be interesting about that because now, yesterday we talked about Montreal, maybe Nate and Mattman bring a second center, and they need to figure out this. Now, without Danault, Weber, and Price, only those 3 players, we talk about $21 million plus what they have in reserve. So we talk about $26 million. He can pick a goaltender, a center number 2, and a defenseman.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day, Carey Price remains with the Montreal Canadiens. There's too much risk. And he's not, even if he was healthy, Pierre, the contract's ridiculous for this point of his career. Like, why are you paying for him a retirement contract?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. And this is what I said before in the comments and, on our group. I'm like, well, you've got Bondrachuk and you've got Jerry Bruckheimer. One guy's worth $4 billion. So like 11 million is not the end of the world. They've already allocated probably a crazy budget. They knew something like this would happen. So it's not about the money, but if you're the GM, I'm not investing long-term in Carey Price.
But that's the point. Like, like they cannot trade Carey Price. I think for Montreal, for me, that's why I'm not nervous at all. Like, I'm not worried about what happened. If we lose him, I see an opportunity better. If we keep him, perfect. It is what it is. It was already signed a contract, right? So,
it adds some drama to it. I think it's just, even if he's available and he's healthy, I'm still not picking him.
It'll be an average. But again, my concern about Fleury, Echo like that, Michael, Montreal cannot do that. They cannot trade the prospect and what they have to get players. What they need to go is on UFA market. I don't know how he can be good to do that, right? I don't know if he can do that, and I don't know they will. But that would be the best thing to get is the UFA and not destroy the player they have. Because if you go get Hickle, now you're losing Suzuki. You're back right where you're at. So you're not helping a lot. And Hickle, Tarasenko, I would not touch those kind of players because you don't know how they are.
Yeah.
You don't know how they feel about that, and they'll be back. I think Tarasenko. If I was Seattle, I would take Tarasenko. I would tell
Yeah.
you why, because he's only 1 year. That's it. He's UFA after that. So
Yeah.
the chance for 1 year, Michael, you know what?
Well,
It's not end of the world.
it's
And
2
he
years.
become a 20-25 scorer. That's changed everything. I would take Tarasenko before Carey Price and everything like that. But to get a players like Jake Eichel, and now you get him for $10 million for 8 years, and you don't know he's going to be healthy at 100%, too much risk. And then you have to give 2-3 good players in return.
Yep.
I would not do that.
Yep. I agree with you. All right. So I prepared kind of like an initial, I just took one stab using the cap friendly tool. And it's not necessarily my only option, but I went through and kind of thought through and said, hey, this is one draft. So if you're down for it, let's take a look at it and let's talk through the players. Are you down for that?
Yeah, you can go there.
All right. I don't know if we need any. Oh, so good morning, Julius, by the way. Good morning, Greg. Does Seattle not have a salary cap? They do have a salary cap. They're adhering to the same salary cap, Adam. So they'll have to meet the 81 million or whatever it lands on. I think Tampa is hoping the Kraken takes one of their massive contracts for sure. And they might. They absolutely might, but they got a lot of talent exposed.
The rumor is from, it should be Yanni Gord.
I mean, of all of them, I like him the best. You'll see what I decided there. Well, we'll talk through it. Good morning, Eagle. Thank you for joining us. All right, so this is kind of what I came up with. Let's start with the D. There's so many options, Pierre, out there. There's a lot of good options. Gord, and I think you might be right, Eagle. Gord will be a Kraken probably. This is more my take on not necessarily what they would do or should do. It's more like what I kind of went through and decided. Yeah, I would be shocked because I think Gord is very versatile, Pierre. His contract's fairly reasonable. He can play all forward positions. He's got a lot of energy. I think he'll be a really good citizen in Seattle. So I think it's a good choice if somebody decided to pick him. In my case, so let's see. First off, on D, these are the defensemen I went for. And I'll kind of explain some of my logic. I picked 3 guys that are bound to be UFA. So I'm not bound to them long term. And we can make a choice of whether we keep. I think the guy that you would look at keeping at a bigger salary would be Hag. And I think you're saying Dermott and some of these other young guys will step up. I know you've got to sign Zadorov and Alexiak to contracts. And even though I didn't put second years, I think these are multi-year contracts for both of them. I don't know why I didn't come in that list. So my choices were Mark Giordano. He's a left shot defenseman. He's 37 though, Pierre. We know he's won the Norris Trophy not too long ago. He's 1 year at 6.7. I think he'll help them out immediately. And then we can decide, is this a long-term person or not? Same thing with Stetcher. He's a right shot defenseman. He's more of a second pairing. We saw him play with Mark Stahl last year in Detroit. Played very well. He's not big, but he can move the puck a little bit, and he's pretty solid. I really like Robert Hagg, and I think his contract's very reasonable. He is UFA, so there's a bit of a risk, but you would have money to go do something else if you decided. So not the end of the world if you lose him. But if he performs the way I think he can, he could be a second pairing D, maybe worst case third, and you could sign him to a contract. I like Dermott for 2 years at 1.5. There were some other good choices in Toronto, like McCann. I really thought would be the other option. Like he had 34 points in 40 some odd games, so McCann's really interesting to me. But I think for the bang for the buck, Dermott's already got 3 years under his belt. He's 24. He's a very cheap salary, Pierre, and I think he can do a lot more, maybe as a second pairing. I decided to go for Hayden Fleury and actually also Cale Fleury, not related. Jeremy Lauzon at $4 million and then restricted. I think this is correct. I wanted to double check this. Is he at $4 million? That seems high.
I think so.
Yeah, I think I accidentally typed over it, so I think that's wrong. Let's look at Boston. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jeremy Lauzon, I don't know. I think I know what happened. I accidentally put $4 million in thinking it was another player. So in actuality, Pierre,
It's
he is
worth
restricted.
850.
Yeah, it's only $850. So, where'd it go? Yeah, this is wrong. I think I meant to put it here. Well, that was my, I think he's a big defenseman. He showed he can play top 4 minutes. Worst case is a third pairing. He's kind of coming into his own. He's played over 100 NHL games now, or around there. For Oleksiak, my assumption is Oleksiak and Zadorov are multi-year deals, so they won't be restricted. I would sign both of them before, and then Cale Fleury, I'm signing to kind of what amounts to a 2-year guess that he can contribute a little bit. And if some of these guys clear out, he can either move up, or it's not the end of the world. I can bury that contract. Thoughts, ideas, concepts? Are there any defensemen? Yeah. Are there any defensemen there that you would question, or are there any defensemen that you would have picked instead?
Yeah. So here's, it's like everybody picked the mock draft every time that. But,
yep.
But here's the point. You have right now on the list, Michael, only one of the 9 defensemen do not play in NHL. You cannot send back example like Lauzon or Fleury or Stetcher on the American Hockey League.
True.
So what you have to do is when you make a team like that.
That's a
for
good point.
Everybody is you try to say, okay, what kind of asset I can get right now, and I can trade back to other GM to get a 2nd-round pick, a 1st-round pick, a 3rd-round pick.
Good point.
To get more those kind of the prospect, or maybe trade example like Zadorov, and you get maybe 2 prospect playing American Hockey League, something like that. So behind everything like that, that's what you have mixed. Think about that way also, because those 9 players never going to make the NHL. So something I would said, he would maybe pick Tarasenko and then trade Tarasenko to Montreal and get a 2nd-round pick, and maybe Brett Kulak example. Let's give you an example. So I just want to mention that because honestly,
that's a great idea. I like that.
So when you do this, think about future and not only
good point
Wednesday night, and then those 9 players can play, because you cannot. It's impossible. Usually you run your team at 23 roster, Michael, right? 6, maybe a 7 defenseman, and that's it. Fleury, right now, your list is going to be American Hockey League. That's okay. But I just want to mention that part.
No, I think that's
the list is wrong there. The rest is good.
You're totally right.
But I really believe like Oleksiak, I don't think so. He's already in Dallas, what I heard. But again, I think should be a little bit more caution about that and see before I sign all those UFA. I will look if I can get another on the list they have, or the team gave it to me.
Great point. I really like that approach. That makes a lot of sense. Like Cale Fleury is kind of like a guy that probably is in the minors. Hayden Fleury, you make a decision on. He's going to be a restricted free agent. If he makes the team over someone else, you don't worry about it and you move that asset. But otherwise, either you risk him going to the minors and you don't worry about it, or he's good enough and he's a bottom pairing defenseman and he knocks someone else out that's maybe more expensive. So good point. And maybe you can move that more expensive asset.
I just to answer to Adam, you cannot do any trade until it's over. So what happening is the only thing is frozen right now is the trade and also the waiver list, and you cannot do anything. And any team right now cannot do anything until the Kraken does have a chance right now to talk with all the RFA, all the UFA, and also all the player was exposed. So that's what the only team right now working right now is the Kraken. And after that, maybe right now Kraken call the Montreal Canadiens and say, hey, all right, we want to pick Carey Price, but you want to keep Carey Price. And then what you have, the problem was happening with what Ron Francis said to everybody, Michael, and that's what upset. He said, every player you want to keep, I want a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick. That's it. He did not mention. So it was what we heard. So I don't know if it's true, but that's another, it's a play game, hard game, of that soft game, right? But that's what happening.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't even clue in. I thought they weren't related, but Cale Fleury and Hayden are actually brothers, so I was mistaken.
Yeah. Thank
Brad
you so much,
Marchand, thank
Brad.
you.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for joining us this morning. So, all right. So then I kind of made some choices. And again, if I ran through this again, Pierre, I might do something totally different. So it just depends. Oh, I messed this up. Hold on. Let's go back. I picked the wrong graphic. There we go. Let's get, where the heck are my goalies? All right, whatever. These are the goalies that I decided on. So we know the rumor is that they'll sign Drager and that'll be their pick. I'm guessing this is a 3 or 4 year deal at $4 million a year. And then the other two goalies that I've been talking about, both are young, but both have shown they can play in the league. Maybe not perfect. Now, it is an issue which you're pointing out, which is, can you run with 3 goalies, or do you have to send someone down? Both goalies would probably be exposed to waiver wire if they had to go to the minors, right? So you might move one, or you might, if I think about it in that terms, I might make a different choice. But I think for now I picked them. But it's a good point, because I think there's a lot of other guys that are kind of NHL, AHL goalies. Coach, did you get Michael's draft? He's asking, by the way.
Yeah, I got an email, a text. I didn't look yet, but I'm sure it's him.
For me, I think it's like pick the best 2 and then move the other one. So that was kind of my reasoning there. How does this jive with what you were thinking on goaltenders?
I will not touch Kakkonen for sure. Eventually will be my list rigger. It's look like everybody mentioned he will sign over there. I will look maybe another goaltender where I can trade and I can get something back and return. And I think that will be something where I'm looking for. So can we do this with Bishop? Can I do this with example like Oldby, or like other goaltender was exposed to them, everything like that. So that would be my only thing about that. But I would not touch to Kakkonen.
Yeah. No, and in the context, too, of what you said, which is, hey, you might lose one of them, I kind of figure these are assets, and I'll decide between the two, either before or during camp.
Yeah.
Because I think both of these are tradable. I think they're both desirable. And whether you flip them back to their existing team or somewhere else, like someone's going to want one of these goalies.
Yeah.
Do you think the Kraken will want someone like Ovi, Price, or Voracek because of their age?
Again, yes and no. The Ovechkin don't go nowhere. So yeah, but already sometimes people said, don't try to get him. He's not going to anywhere. So they will not spend a spot, whatever it is, because they already knew already. Ovechkin go nowhere. Carey Price, they already asked him, and then now they will talk to him. They never bring a players, Michael, at the Kraken without tell to them if he want to come or not. You know what I mean? Like they have to have that kind of negotiation every time.
Right.
I'm talking about the UFA. I'm talking about the UFA, right? Price is not, but again, they will have a conversation, ask him about the injury, everything like that. Voracek is another case. It's 8.25. What do you do, Michael? What kind of the homework you do as a GM? You pick up right now the list. You pick up and say, okay, let's check the best top 6 player we can get at that list. And now we make it get 18 of them. From that 18, how much they have as a salary? Is it over $7 million? Now, if you have like 3.25, example, Duchesne, Owenson, Voracek, can we afford this or not? Can we go with one of the 3? Then after that, you go the same thing with Eberle, and you go with same thing with Josh Bailey, and you go with. So that's what it you know what I mean? It's you have to think, and you have to do homework, and then stimulation about that part of there. It's easy from us, you and me, everybody here, to make a mock draft and click and everything like that. But you have to thinking deeper. You have to think more longer to find a way. So wait a minute, I cannot afford to have, you know what I mean? Like, is it better to me to get Tarasenko at 7.5 or get Voracek at 8.25? What kind of line, the center I'm looking for? What kind of, who is my top first center, my second one, my right wing, my left wing? That's a lot of work. So before you do a draft, a mock draft, we just check someone. You have to think in deeper and put this on the paper and look about this. You have to respect your $81.5 million too. Cannot go over after that. So,
Yep.
and then can I get Voracek and then trade this to Dallas? Dallas gave me something back. So it's all that stuff like that. I just want to share. And I'm not better
I
to
think you have
anybody
great
here.
points. I think you have awesome points. You're totally right on. I think you think about these are assets that I'm going to move, just like Vegas, right? Vegas used these assets that they had. In their case, they used draft picks. They negotiated, they got the draft picks, and then they parlayed the draft picks into guys that are big time players on a big time team. So it's a great approach. And I think no matter what, you got to say, hey, if this doesn't work out or if there's a log jam, can I trade this guy? And maybe you negotiate that ahead of time.
Yep.
All right. Colette, good morning. She says, do you think that Price would go to Seattle even if he has health problems? I think we talked about this. I think he's going to remain in Montreal. I don't see anybody touching that contract, whether he's healthy or not. The owners gave clearance to Ron Francis, but I can't see him rolling the dice on this. Now, the thing about it, Carey Price played junior in the WHL in the Washington area.
Yeah. Again,
Right?
We don't know the gravity of the injury, right? I'm sure Ron Francis spoke with Carey Price. We spoke with the doctors, and they know about this, everything like that.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, you really, really figure out, honestly, what happened with Carey Price. But at the end of the day, it will depend how long he's going to get out. Because it's not Carey Price player. It's not about the money salary per year. It's about the signing bonus in September, $11 million,
Right.
where we give him, and then he will maybe never play again, or he never back in 2 years at 37 years old. It's not the same. So can you take that money for someone else, right? Do you go with Carey Price or you go with Voracek? Do you go with Carey Price or you go with Owenson? And all that kind of question at the end of the day. I think for me, with the quality, the goaltender they have on the table, I would not touch the $10.5 million. The Panthers fan can talk about Proboski right now. They know about that, right? And then you can see when you get a player over $10 million, you have to be sure he perform. And I don't see Carey Price perform at the value of the $10 million.
I agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. And obviously with these picks, whoops, there we go. That's kind of what I'm saying too. And I think you're right. Like one of these would probably go before or after training camp. And then I think though that you do have to take some chances. And I kind of took my chances on forward, Pierre. So if you look at, there's a lot of good forwards actually, better than I thought. But there's some big salaries and there's guys that are maybe at the end of their career. So you got to make some choices, and there's different choices other people would make. And I didn't, by the way, necessarily pick these guys. So this is what I landed on. The biggest risk that I took was taking Ryan Johansson. And I think that he kind of falters as a number one centerman. He's not really a 20-goal scorer, but he is a big body. He played great in their run to the Stanley Cup, and that might be in the past, but he's still young enough at 28. He's overpaid at $8 million, absolutely. But as far as I know, there's no big signing bonus that I don't have to make any balloon payments. I think he's a tradable asset, even if I retain some salary. So if I suddenly made Ryan Johansson a $5 or $6 million player, I think there'd be a lot of takers. So if I decide he's not the fit for me long term, I think I can move him and get something back. The other risk I took was Tarasenko. And I think Tarasenko has had some injuries recently. He's only 2 years at 7.5 a year. So it's not a forever risk. So I think that you have a guy there that if he's healthy enough to play 70 or 80 games, you're going to get 25, 30 goals. So he's won a Stanley Cup. He's been an assistant captain. He has the profile that I would want just to make the team interesting for the first year. Adam, by the way, said, you've got to think of putting people in the seats, but I don't think Seattle has that problem. I think you can put a bag of pucks on the ice and they're going to fill the seats.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem right there.
It's not. But you do want them to be, if they can be competitive, great. Now, the flip side, Pierre, is do you think at all about Shane Wright? Like maybe some of these choices, and if my strategy is, listen, I'm going to build with the youth and the talent, I'm not going to go for any of these guys. I'm going to go for the cheapest options. I'm going to hit the salary floor. I'll have good goaltending in D. I'm not going to worry about scoring. That's another way to approach it. And I didn't approach it with this one. I approached it saying, hey, let's be competitive for the first year. But that might be a really long-term expensive proposition. Because if you think that you just pick up journeymen on forward and you can't score a lot of goals, but you're competitive in net and competitive on D, and then you're in the lottery for Shane Wright. I mean,
like the way you did it, right? Again, it's like a little bit longer. You really have only 1-2 players over 30 years old, right?
Right.
So me, when I look at that, I would say no. I would not take. I would take the best of the best. Jason Zucker, Gord, Max Domi. I would go with other players where I can have those kind of players I can trade after that, and then get better players to get the bottom over there. I think my 4 line will be stronger. If it's simple, I'm stuck with Zucker. It's not a big deal. He go in my top 6 over there, right? So some of you, I'm not disagreeing with Owen, the rest I go Netherritter, Bailey, Kearney, right? But maybe when we get now with Johnson, Coffer, Aiken, when I would say, wait a minute, maybe I would go somewhere else about that one over there.
I thought exactly the same thing.
Right? I like the Appleton over there. That's good one. But Julien Gauthier, I will go with Colin Blackwell, I believe, on that one over there.
Yeah. I think in another draft, what I did was I went with Blackwell, and I didn't get any of these guys at the top. And I think Blackwell may or may not be able to contribute on his own. He's 28, and that would be a good, short, cheap solution to make them competitive, but not too good. And you're not taking on a big salary. And that's another way to go, because then, again, keeping in mind that Shane Wright is going to come up in the next draft, I mean, that's a guy you want. And then you've also got Brad Lambert. So there's some interesting picks in the next draft that are way higher end than the current draft. So you've got to think about that, and you got to say, hey, look, we're going to have something that in a year or two I can build a foundation on, but I don't want to be too good. I don't want to be Vegas. And maybe that's another way to approach it.
Like if you can go back on the comments of a Stratic.
Yep. The city will fill the arena for will fill the arena for a bag of pucks, but an exciting, successful team will drive obscene broadcast numbers, which are important. I got to be honest, I think that's going to happen anyway.
But my point behind this, what is right on one, and my point I want to bring to you guys is about the NHL. Do not take one team at the beginning like that to be the worst in the NHL. So they gave all the opportunities to play and to be almost like 500 and plus.
Exactly.
So on the one flip side, you can have, any player's name on the back of the jersey. They will have people in the building. But also they want to be sure the people keep there, like Vegas becomes successful because the people love to go there, because we know some market and the other minor league gave up because the team was never been good. But I think on the flip side, the NHL gave an opportunity to the expansion team to be good at the beginning and not to be like, only like Gauthier or Cal Fleury or those 4 line only, right? They get like that's why you see Carey Price and Voracek and Zucker and Tarasenko, and that's you see those guys. So they will show up over there like Cal Fleury, Marc-Andre Fleury, and those players, Theodore, everything like that. That team was pretty good. I think it will be the way they make expansion draft. That's the way they make to be sure initial consider the team be good enough to perform and not be like, remember that the Washington Capitals at the beginning, right? And like the first couple of years, they struggled because you have nobody, Greg Jolie and everything like that, right? So
I'm kind of keeping some of these picks you might be surprised at. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'm taking a chance on Carl Grundstrom. He's a cheap contract and he'll be RFA. I think this is a guy that can play in the NHL. So even if I had the assets up top and I decided to move them out, it gives me stuff that I can trade. Matthew Joseph, I've looked at his stats, Pierre. He's had 2 seasons now. One where in a full season he scored 13, I think, goals, or 14. And then this year in a partial season he scored 12. So if you believe in that and his age, he's got over 100 NHL games. He's shown that he can at least get 12, 15 goals, and probably if you prorate it, he's probably closer to 20 if you play him. He can play all three forward positions, and is a cheap contract with RFA status. So I think he's a candidate to move up in the lineup. And that even if you don't, want to invest in guys like Johansson, Tarasenko, Niederreiter, and Bailey in the short term, you could go more of that type of route with the other teams.
The only thing I would send me, I would not take Nino for the 5.2. I would prefer to get James Bain over there. And then I would say, let go Joseph and pick, because the chance to get a guy like Gord, Palat, and Johnson or Killorn are not happen a lot. So you have a better chance to get a great player like Gord and Niederreiter. It's just not for the money you get to become that kind of star you need in your team. I would prefer to give James Bain, I don't know, if James or whatever his first name is, for the Carolina.
Oh, Jake Bean.
Yeah.
Right. And I think in another draft, it's like really tempting if you look at Carolina, because they have Niederreiter, they have Jake Bean, and there's one other player there that's pretty interesting. I can't blank it on who the other one is, but they exposed three pretty good players in this. So you have, and I really like Jake Bean. I mean, I think if the other draft it had a much lower cap. It had some players like Jake Bean in it. And I think Niederreiter is a short-term thing, and I think we know he's a prickly guy. So he's had kind of a mixed bag where he's on and off year to year. So, Brock McGinn, that's the other guy that was kind of interesting. Michael said Brock McGinn. So there's definitely so many options there. I like Matthew Joseph because he's the youngest of all those players in Tampa. If you look at Gord, he's going to be 31, 32 pretty soon at the end of the next season.
He's 29.
He's in 1990.
I think he was 29, and Palat is 31.
Yeah, Yanni Gord is 29, so he'll be 30. So he's a 1991. I'm sorry, not a 90. So that would make him 30 this year in December. So he's a late birthday. So that was kind of my reasoning. It's not that he's old. And I think, you're right. In other drafts, Yanni Gord is a guy you could build around in a sense. Like, he's capable of playing second line minutes. We've seen when he does that, he's a 60-point player. When there was injuries in Tampa, he's so versatile. He's very strong. He hasn't had injury problems to contend with. Matthew Joseph. For
example, I would say to you, take out Cirelli.
Yep.
Put Gord, and you're not losing too much.
Not lose anything. Yeah.
That makes sense. So that's what I would say. Like, take Gord and take out Tierney. You improve your team.
I agree. Right? I totally think you're right.
So that would be something I will reconsider everything like that. But again, it's not bad. We are here to looking about that one. This
is just one scenario. I think tomorrow we should try do another one.
You can go all around about that one. Is Ovechkin's negotiating his contract? Yes. They all good over there. Look, the news yesterday I got is Nick Foligno, Michael, is going to join his brother in Minnesota.
Whoa, weird.
So if this happening, this is a blow for Toronto. They pay a first-round pick for 10 games.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Anyway, he came from Andrew Stickland. I trust him. But again, I just mentioned this will be big news over there. Ovechkin is coming soon. Kaprizov is quiet right now because everybody is on the draft over there. Maybe you take Rand now. He's a UFA, Michael. Don't touch him. It's not worth it to spend your UFA on that one. We have a chance to get other players, right?
Yeah. I think he's struggled outside of Ottawa.
I would not take that enough. I think it will be good with Tierney at that moment. Tierney can be your third center, and at 3.5, and you have only 1 year to go. I think it's good pick over there.
Yeah, that's why I was like, do I take Dadonov? That's a longer-term, bigger contract. The guy's 32. We know Tierney's capable, and I'm not committing to him long-term. So some of those things I'm thinking like, hey, I can have another shot at this in a year.
Well, that's a Tarasenko situation, right?
2 years, and then he's done,
So,
yeah, Tarasenko's got this year and next year at 7.5, so I don't think that's insane. And even Johansson, if you look at it, okay, you get past this year, he's got 3 more years at 8. To me, he's only like 29. You could trade him if he's a $5 or $6 million player where I retain salary. I could get picks that I'm thinking I might want in the future. So if they say, hey, he's not really my first line centerman, but it's tough to find a big guy like that can do some of the stuff he does. So I took the risk. I don't love Niederreiter. I definitely prefer Jake Bean. And in another draft, I actually picked Jake Bean. And it was just I rejigged this one just based upon a different outcome. There's so many strong teams. I'm going to pull this off. Sorry. There's so many strong teams you can build out of this draft. There are two teams in particular, Carolina and Tampa. You're choosing between quality forward and D. I agree. And upcoming. And that's what happens when you have a team with a lot of depth, right, Pierre? Like, they're going to expose a lot of assets, and you've kind of got to go, wealth of, what do they call it? An abundance of riches. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy isn't getting the same anymore and not getting younger. I'm not who Daddy is, but Dadonov. Yeah, Dadonov.
I want to give you a couple of news happening right now.
Yeah, sure.
All the news is this morning is about Luke Prokop.
Yeah,
He's announced he become the first NHL player announced publicly he's a gay, and everybody support from everywhere, everything. And I just want to mention this. It was big news about that one over there, about that case over there. The Tampa Bay Lightning just resigned an agreement with the Orlando Solar Bear on the East Coast Hockey League, so it's confirmed. Mark Morrison became the head coach of the Manitoba Moose and the American Hockey League. He was many years assistant coach with the Anaheim Ducks. That's the news about that one over there, and that's pretty much it happening this weekend. They have a big, they're all 13 Brokos brothers plus 2 together for the first time since the tragedy. So they have a reunion.
The Humboldt Broncos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was nice to see all those guys together this weekend and, have a picture. And 3 of them, they're on the wheelchairs. So,
wow.
It was great to see that picture over there and see those kids over there together. So that's pretty much around the league. Honestly, everybody focus on NHL. But that's what I try to give you the best I can get from people around here. But, yeah.
So, year one, this could be something of what the lineup looks like. It gives us a lot of choices. I think we would move some of these players out for assets. But generally, it gives us something to start with that I think is pretty reasonable. And my goal was, I think we're going to be solid in net. I think we'll be reasonably good on D, maybe not perfect, but good. And, long-term, we can make other choices. It also opens me up where, with that second overall draft pick, Pierre, I really consider taking a defenseman. I'm not sure.
It depends. Second round pick, it depends what they're going. They're going to go with Owen Power, right? And after that, you have a choice. I go with William Eglum. For everything I read,
maybe.
And you don't make mistake, right? With Bernier for sure, right? But if I have a choice, I go with William Eglum for sure about that. You have a great comments from Stratic again.
Oh, is there another one?
Yeah. There are so many strong teams.
Oh, we already had this up. Yeah.
All right. So I think he's right about that. First of all, I think it's not the first time. Maybe it's the first time. I'm not sure.
I haven't met him before. I don't know if you're in Seattle or where you're at, but thank you for joining. Philly is another tough call. If you're Hackstall, who do you want, JVR or Ghost? Neither. Ghost of Bear, I want no part of.
But again, it's back again about 2 things here. Are you looking for a center or are you looking at a winger? All right. I think for a check, you go with a winger. You're looking for a center when you want to build. I think I took GVR for that one over there for sure.
JVR doesn't really play center. He's normally a wing.
I'm saying again?
Well, John Van Riemsdyk is not a centerman, though.
But they use him a lot.
Did they?
At the bubble as a center over there. They moved Kevin Hayes, everything like that, right? So when he was missing. But I think at that moment, I would say now, Robert Agg is the easy save over there for sure. I understand that part. But because you have a lot of young defensemen in the draft over there, maybe I would take a chance with GVR where you need offensive at some point If not, who's going to score?
Well, I mean, in my lineup, obviously, I'm saying who's going to score is just different. But I thought about JVR. I've never been a big JVR fan, Pierre. So, I mean, in my lineup, what I'm saying is we probably got a couple guys here that are kind of 15 goal scorers in the middle, but they can do other stuff where they're 200-foot players. I think you've got goal potential between Tarasenko, Bailey, Niederreiter. You're going to have a pretty good power play. Michael Bunting had a phenomenal year, Pierre, for not a lot of money. So I take a shot and I sign him to a 2-year extension at like 1.5, 1.8 because the pace that he can score, he's kind of like a Connor Garland type player. So he's got like some offense there that he showed last year. And he's always been able to score at every level. I think he was a former Don Mills Flyer, Pierre. I think he might have played with Domi actually at Don Mills. We know Chris Tierney's decent. You've got potential for goals of guys that have not done it elsewhere between Julian Gauthier, Mason Appleton can get a few, and I really believe Matthew Joseph is a 20-goal scorer if you give him the opportunity. He's only 24. He's had 2 seasons, one where he had 13 goals in a full season, and then this year in a partial he had 12. So I think he's always shown he's got good hands. He's a really good skater, and he can play all 3 forward positions if you want. So I think that's where my offense comes from. I think Grundstrom and Johansson can also contribute. And Niederreiter, we know he's up and down like a yo-yo, Pierre. He might get 15 goals this year. He might get 30.
I feel like you need more power at some point there for sure. Let's moving back with Michael. Florida's tricky because you got Trigger, but you also a good scorer in Veneto. But again, you become maybe you pick one of the top goaltender at that exposure over there. And I think Veterano, he scored 18 goals, but it's not. Yeah. It was his first year about that one over there. So for me, it's not. At Sherry, have many players like him in this draft right now. So you don't take at Sherry, but I think the Kraken do the right things with Traeger. Honestly, you cannot miss it on that one. So good pick about that one over there. I cannot believe that Krebs is better than Glass. It's not about he's better. I think they gave up on Glass because he have a problem of 5 versus 5. He cannot perform. The second thing,
that makes sense.
He does not have that kind of the consistency sense he put in there. Same thing with Nolan, Patrick, everything like that. So I think for them, they see better days with Peter and Krebs at anything else like that. I don't say he's not going to perform in Nashville. I believe he can do it. But until he show up, he do it. That's another problem he get over there for Cody Glass. And unfortunately, they gave up on Suzuki. And look what Suzuki is doing right now. Can Cody Glass become a Suzuki? He can. And I think it opened up another spot. If Michael pick Rand Johansson or Kraken or take him, that's give another center for the Nashville. And they would take that money, Nashville, to sign a good UFA and maybe sign Michael Gratland back over there.
So I'm going to give you a name that is another Cody that I keep thinking about in the context of Cody Glass. Cody Glass's talent is off the charts. He is a power play specialist in one sense, but I think Vegas has a culture around 200-foot game, pressure on the puck, and that kind of that lets them win, but it also causes them problems when they need creativity. Peyton Krebs, this is a guy that walked up on stage at the draft after Achilles surgery, and they still picked him high. Peyton Krebs led the WHL in scoring this year. He's got killer instinct. When you need points, he's going to get it. He never takes a shift off, and that's more consistent with their culture. Nolan Patrick is like that, Pierre, and I think that Kelly McCrimmon has a comfort level with him because he's coached him. The issue, of course, has been health. So I think they're saying, listen, we think Glass is never going to fit in. He's not an intense guy. He doesn't stand out. We're just not going to invest in a guy that's just one-dimensional. And that's what you're saying. And I think Nolan Patrick still has so much potential, Pierre, if he's healthy. And that's what it boils down to. We see he can break a game when he's healthy. So, I think that's what they're banking on. Krebs absolutely fits their culture, and he can step in, and he's going to be a big-time point producer at some point. Hasn't the team already said they're taking Drager? Yes, that's my understanding that they're going to work on a contract and select him. You have to have a personality in Vegas. I think that they have a very, very, very defined culture, for sure. Do you think that they take Vetrano and just sign Drager after the draft? I thought about this, Pierre. What do you think?
So here's the point behind that is right now, the only team can talk with every UFA is Kraken.
Yeah.
If you wait, when they open the door, you sign right now Drager at $4 million, right? But now Washington offer him $5 million. Then you have Vegas offer him 5.5. Then you have Carolina 4.5. What's happening right now? Maybe he's not going to be accept your deal after they open the door. And that's the reason why you sign him right away and not give him enough a possibility to have another team can talk to him. And that's the reason why they have a possibility to make the deal. Like Jimmy Olejchek is a great example. Can he accept the deal from Kraken without open the door for other? Yep. Can Philippe Danault can do the same thing with Kraken. That's why they don't want to take a chance to wait to the UFA and maybe when he get there. Because think about this. They sign up right now, Michael. I'll say, all right, I will wait for the UFA. Now they get Bishop, Vanecek, and Kakkonen example, right? Yep. But they really already said, I'm not going to get Bishop. I'm going to get 3 young goaltender, and then I'm going to get a UFA. But it's not sure Drager is going to be there at the UFA anymore.
Beniers or like Jonathan Bernier or Grubauer or whoever.
They're really targeting Drager, right? So because the question is, why not to wait at the UFA? It's because maybe they don't get him, and now they have no goaltender when they have a chance right now to set their team, the full roster Wednesday night, and then they can go on the UFA if they want to looking for more after that. But at some point, I think you have a chance to book the contract right there, and they know Drager become the goaltender #1, or the defenseman, let's say, become my top 3 defensemen, everything like that. That's why they have to not wait on the July 28th.
We said this before, Pierre. I would have tried to trade him and get someone that wanted to sign him ahead of time.
I don't understand why Florida has not traded him. It's because Florida was thinking to do a long run all the way, and they feel like they was comfortable to get Drager inside that one over there. That's the only thing. Now, can they get open up like the Florida before that? They gave a chance to Carolina, talk to him. They gave a 2nd-round pick. Like they could do this, like Goodrow did 2 days ago, something like that, right? But again, it was too late at some point to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it was something we contemplated and talked out loud about. So it's an interesting idea, Michael, for sure. I've never understood why the players just don't say "see you in UFA" instead of signing the exclusive window. What is the benefit to a player like Drager not waiting?
It's because now he's secure. He's got his job. He's looking for the money he wants, right? Yep. How he wants exactly. I'm not sure he gets $6 million from San Jose, example, but he don't want to go to San Jose.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so sometimes it's not only the money, it's the quality, everything like that. He get maybe $6 million with Kraken, but he becomes goaltender #1. They would say, hey, we want you to goaltender #1. Can he get the same job with Toronto? Now he become split time. It's different option you get when you negotiate your UFA. Remember, Drager is only 38, 39 game in the NHL. It's the first time he faced a UFA. He never been you don't have a big resume.
Not at all.
Like other goaltenders. So if you get a $4.5 million, 4 or 5 years, you don't look for other teams. So you know what? That's maybe my biggest contract over there, everything like that. So something like that. If you take Patrick, Julius said something at the
yeah, because legitimately, and he's making fun of it, but the truth is he's got that migraine issue that kept him out for so long. It's a lot like post-concussion, Pierre. It's very similar. Like
he still played 52 games this year, so there's good news about that one over there. Yeah. He become he go now with someone trust him. He go back with someone been with him, and you know a little bit about him. So I think at some point He's better at the good hands right now with him compared to was maybe with Flowers. At some point, Flowers get a good Rand Ellis for the next 3 years, maybe not the last 2 years of his contract, but I think it's the benefit everybody at the end of the day.
Yep. Do you guys think Bobrovsky comes back like the old Bob with his job on the line? I don't think so, because his job was on the line. He played bad, and Spencer Knight took it in the playoffs.
If Bob can do the Bob he was with only 35, 40 games, you'll be happy. It's a lot of money, like exactly a Carey Price right now, to give to someone when you expect 60 game and you cannot do it anymore.
Right.
The lucky things, Spencer Knight, until he's get his ELC for 2 more years, he can do what Bob cannot do, and Florida are in good hands. But the problem is you tie up your team to not negotiate better money about that one over there, because you have to pay Barkov after that. You have to pay Huberdeau after that. You have to figure out with Orvis after that. You have to figure out with Edblom and 2-3 years. So you can accumulate. So every time you're longer, you wait too much. The problem is that Bobrovsky squeeze your salary cap. The good news, I believe, Michael, in the next 2 years, the NHL is going to open up the salary cap for a couple of $1 million. So yeah, but it's only 83. $2-3 more $1 million. It's a lot of money in the situation where they're at right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so if you're Seattle, do you look ahead at all to the 2004 birth year draft, or do you care about that because you're just going to be so deep you're going to be able to compete right away?
If you're Seattle, you have to think also about the prospect player and your affiliation, every time that also. It's a mix. I believe for me, it's like I said earlier, can I get a plus when now I can trade again?
Right.
What like a kid from Columbus, like Sherlon or whatever his last name? Shacklon. Well, you pick him from Columbus. You did not pick Max Domi.
Oh, it's Stenlund.
Stenlund, right? So we prefer to take Max Domi, get him back, give him a chance, and then after that, can I trade him? Can I get something bigger about that one? That's what you have to look around that part over there.
It's true. I feel really iffy about him specifically. Like, I just think he's already moved around a lot.
Stenlund, here we go.
And there's a reason. Yeah, Kevin Stenlund. I really like this player, by the way. Like, he's
again, same thing. Can I get Yannick Gourde right now?
For sure.
Right? Can I trade him? What I can get for Yannick Gourde, guys, is a first-round pick and a solid, good prospect.
Maybe.
Right? Example, can Vegas want him and they trade first-round pick and they trade Cody Glass?
Maybe.
As something like that, that's what I said, Tampa Bay, go get the best player and then trade him if you have to. If you can get Tarasenko, can I get him? But what I can get him back anyway and return. That's what I would keep GVR, because if Tarasenko's leaving, I have a good winger for 1 or 2 years. And everything like that. And that's what you try to figure those stuff like that behind the exposure, the player you pick, every player you get over there. Can I guess Piquet Subban versus can I trade him? That's the question, right? In New Jersey. That's all the stuff like that you have to see about around that part over there.
Yeah, it's totally like.
And then like Carolina, right? But example, like they don't want Carolina exposed Bain. They want to keep him. Can Francis call Carolina? So I'm going to get you another raider that will give $5.5 million out of your salary. But again, because I want to Bain, I want a pick. Can I get a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick? Because I'm getting neither raider, but you keep Bain behind that. So a lot of stuff like that we don't know yet at the end of the day.
One thing about it, there's no shortage of talent available. Like, there's more than probably, we might have been really stingy trying to decide who's up. I think the GMs were a little more generous, but they're generous in the sense of talent, but not contracts. They're like, here, take my worst situation off my hands.
And again, like, I'm shaking my head this morning because I said, look what we did. We speak about hockey for 60 minutes. It's a lot of good stuff right now here. We have about 10 people. Imagine we have 50, 60, 80 people right now exchange each other. That would be the beauty of that one over there. And I just feel bad sometimes because, geez, wish I more people know what we're doing here because
Yeah,
I think it'll be a great conversation to go deeper and deeper and deeper about that one there. You can watch right now the Sirius XM right now. You can watch about NHL Network. People talk about this, right? But you cannot do any show. You can interact with them. You cannot go back with them. Here you could do that, and that's the beauty of what we bring. It's just one day. Hopefully, this channel will be explode to
yeah,
get like 2, 5, 7, 10,000. Because a lot of
right.
channel, Michael, don't do that. If you go with outtake, right? Outtake, he's not doing this 2 times per day. If you go with other channel, Krabby Deck, great, 35,000 people, but you don't do some stuff like that 2 times per day. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I said. Imagine we do 3 times per day and we have a podcast about that. That's another subject, but
Well, I think, Pierre, that we've hit, we were really stagnant. We got some traction. We have some really good people that are engaged. We just have to figure out now, how do we get this out to more people? There's probably some technical things we need to do on YouTube and maybe with ads or maybe with partnerships. And we've talked about it. We just got to try it because I think you're right. I think when people see what we do and the way we engage people, that, like Striatic, we're really excited to have you here. We hope that you'll tell other people and subscribe. And I think that you get a lot of engagement from us. So we definitely want to, have more people. Like if we could add a 0 on to the end of this, I'd be excited. I've heard people saying grab Clefbaum to stash on long-term IR for the cap space. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, Edmonton has not made available very much talent, by the way. I mean, it's Chris Russell's there. It's not a lot.
It's a good question. First of all, it's a good question, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what would be the purpose behind that is, or if you, for cap space, if you go on the injury list, that $4 million he has, he open up anyway because he's back on the injury list.
Yeah.
The only thing he gave you, you have the rights of the players, but it's not helping you to do anything. And at the end of the day, it don't give you it don't open up more money on your salary cap because you already don't have him anyway. And I don't want the purpose, only the right on him you have. You cannot trade him because he's not going to maybe play anymore. If you go with Jonathan Drouin, that's another subject because now you have him in the back. It can maybe become play, maybe trade him. That would give this, but don't give you any space cap on your salary cap when your player is on the injury list, like the expansion draft.
Charles Killer 2, thanks for joining us. He does not, though, do not take price. He does not think the Kraken will take price.
I don't know at that moment, and I feel great if you pick him. I feel good about that part over there.
Thank you. If you're Mark Bergevin, you send them a bottle of champagne.
Yep. Now it's another pair. It's another way, Michael. If you don't have Jake Allen, you have only Caden Primo right now and Peter Pudag, or you have like Kincaid or whatever they have before that, right? Now you really drop. But with Jake Allen, you drop 1 step, not 4 step.
Yeah, he's probably more consistent overall because he's healthy. And he's been
in with him about that one. He's another player step up. Kolzar step up.
I like Kolzar.
But the problem, he was not the right chair against Montreal Canadiens. You cannot put him on between the top center and this. Like he's at the bottom right there. He's fit good behind Nicolas Roy. He could jumping sometimes the third line. At the bottom 6 is a great role, exactly what Mark Martin does, or Sizikas or Clutterbuck over there.
Yeah, it's Striatic. So we have multiple streams throughout the day. Like we have a morning and an evening one, and then there is stuff over the weekend. So you've got stream. Pierre usually goes on around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern time. So the Florida time.
Yeah, the night is pretty. Last night I forgot one thing. 9 o'clock is better to 8 o'clock. That was the first thing happening right there. I think a weekend it could be good also. But again, summertime is not good because people are on vacation. You do something else, everything like that. That Sunday night was pretty good last night. But again, morning could be enough, something like that. I prefer right now to create videos, everything like that. I think the live stream I do play-by-play is pretty good. But again, right now we were behind everybody else on the viewers. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Is that another question? Do you prefer we focus on one team? This hockey nations become only the Montreal Canadiens, and you go like this. Some of them perform very well like this, or you go in general. We are not many people like we do on the general overall. We do Montreal, but we talk about the Panthers. We talk about other teams. We talk about everything. Other channel, Michael, they focus on Seventh goal is only Toronto. The culture in Manitoba is Winnipeg. You have the guy in Vancouver focus on Canucks. And us, we really open up. And some others going to, like Frank Well, is Montreal Canadian. But Frank Well now is doing well. You have 70, 80 people per night now. You have 500-600 viewers. Beat us completely because he's really focused on one team.
Interesting.
So I don't know I don't have the answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I think we have to go through the analytics and figure it out. Striatic has a good point, which is lunch break in Seattle, but people will watch this later. So the talk of what we're talking about doing with Seattle, I have a tie obviously to that community a little bit. So, that we would probably do a Seattle Kraken specific show, whether that's on, what time that is up for debate. And if people don't engage in the morning show or the evening show, I think we're going to evaluate all of that, right?
The show is good at night. Like the value of the night is good.
Yeah.
Because the people are home, everything like that. You know what I mean? Like 8 o'clock was earlier. 8, 9 is better. But again, at 9 o'clock, you don't reach. During the season, I'm going to be at 10 o'clock. But that's another subject. But it's just like, do we focus on one team? Do we focus on what we're doing right now? So it's something like that. But again, it's not bad. It's just trying to find a way where's the best.
Yeah, and I think the question is, do we continue to do a morning show?
Right. The morning show is good because right now, it's like we repeat the night what we do the morning, right? But usually you have a game, you have the early morning news, you have, it's like NHL Network, you have the morning skate the morning, they have the power play the night, they have the show afternoon because you have always different things going on, right? So the morning during the season is pretty good because you pick up the news the morning, you talk about the game happening the morning, right? The night you talk about what's going on during that game, or you're more like the review of what's going on, the news during the day. The morning you pick up the resume of the game the night before.
You also stream the same time as Frank, and a lot of viewers are Frank's viewers too.
Yes and no, because the French people don't follow us. Right? We have a few French, but not much.
Yeah.
So we're losing about 5 or 6.
Okay.
And again, I'm not sure if we're losing them. They back and forth, right? And we talk about Alexis Nicolas, and that's it, right? So the regular one, like Johnny Golden, come more often now with us. I don't know if you go back over there, but most of the time he's with us. But I don't think so he make an impact. It's just like if I was doing Montreal only. It's just like 1,000 people, Michael, versus is 1,000. Us is everywhere. Him is really Montreal, focus Montreal. And like the news last night was Carey Price, but everybody want to see him because they talk about Carey Price. Us, we talk about Carey Price, maybe touch 20 people. We don't touch the 800. They're looking, maybe come here for the play-by-play. That's what we don't know too much about our population versus his population, very focused on Montreal.
It's a good point. Like, are we not specific enough for YouTube? Because if, we got traction when we were doing a lot of Montreal Canadian streams. Maybe a channel on YouTube needs to have the theme of Montreal, and then you have another channel that's Seattle. And maybe that's what is helpful.
Probably if you do that, Michael, you don't get you split your channel, and now your money it does not work well because you 10 times split.
Unless we grow a lot faster because of that.
No, the only way you can do that is you create a website.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to do, right?
So the website is split with 31 teams.
Right.
Where you bring everybody on the same location with the same podcast and the same one channel only. But your website is with 32 collaborators. You can write, you can do stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking out loud is like, do we have a channel for Detroit? Like we have Hockey Nation Live, but then we know that there's a channel for Clips, there's a channel for Detroit, Seattle, Montreal. So it's a thought. And I don't know
to do that, now you hire people to do the Detroit guys, and then you have a guy who does Montreal, a guy who does, because you cannot split ourselves. It's just for me, I love what we're doing because you can speak with everything.
Oh, I get it, but we want to grow, so we got to figure that out, math that.
Qu'est-ce qu'on va arriver avec Price? Penses-tu que les Canadiens, that example, that's the first one, first time I see him. Thank you to show up at Dresden. Hopefully you're going to subscribe to the Hockey Nation Live show. That'd be great. On ne sait pas encore, Tristan, la raison, qu'est-ce qui va arriver à cause de sa blessure. Maintenant, on entend que les Kraken sont très intéressés, sont rendus à 50% intéressés, mais c'est un coup de dé, pour être honnête avec toi. Puis au pire, Ali, si jamais il part, on a 11 millions de dollars à avoir dans nos poches. Puis je pense que ça va être une bonne chose à la fin de la journée. Même si on voudrait qu'il ne parte pas, là, pour moi, je pense que ça va être correct. Ça ne sera pas une très mauvaise nouvelle où on va être complètement là, vidé. Je pense qu'on va avoir beaucoup d'argent pour avoir des bons joueurs de hockey. I think you guys need to make a schedule, maybe some days Montreal and others rest.
Possibly. Yeah. The recommended video under this is for the hockey guy. So that's interesting. There's room for homegrown league-wide content. Tough sledding, though.
What you said again? I'm sorry.
So there's different ways that YouTube recommends content, and one of them is the recommended video list, and it's kind of like he says it's our video and then the hockey guy. So that's interesting. It's like he's pulling traffic over no matter what.
Well, he's doing a good job. He's only one really go everywhere. Right. He does a good job. He does this for 10 years.
Yeah.
The problem is like people do this like him. He's there for 12 years, 2009. Yeah, people been there for 4 or 5 years. People was pretty amazing. We reached 1,000 in less than 1 year. It was going to be, Michael, next month, the first time we did 1 year.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think, and it is a low time of the year, but I think there's probably more technical things we can do to address what he's stating, where we're not showing up in the recommendations. It's probably understanding that algorithm. I'm not an expert at it. We've looked at some information, and that's probably good to know. Like, so we're open. If you have any expertise in this, please reach out to us. Because we want to break through. We want to hit September like with a truck, right? Like we want to come through and get 5,000-10,000 people and engage them and keep going.
It's not going to happen because you don't bring people when you do what we're doing right now. You bring people when we do the live stream play-by-play. It's really where we grow a lot and we get better with play-by-play. We get a bit pushed because the finals say the playoff, right? But again, I think it will be time. The morning, I think the concept the morning night is good. I think the morning is good. It's just like I don't know if you're focusing on one team specific versus the rest of the league. That's maybe the way.
Maybe.
So I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
All right, that's concluding the show right now. Thank you so much. Everybody be here. Hopefully, don't forget to click on the likes. That'd be awesome. We're missing maybe only 13 live, but again, thanks to be here. Look forward to see you tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern time for another the Power Play show. Now we'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, like we do. Be ready. Wednesday night we are live, a long night. Then Friday night, another long night. We're going to start talking about NHL draft tomorrow. We have to go Michael, about that one. Thank you so much, Dick. He just subscribed, so I appreciate a lot.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I like your countenance, by the way. I'm not your countenance. You look like you have a lot of knowledge about hockey. And just curious, which team do you like or where you coming from? That'd be great if you don't mind to let us know about that.
Oh, he's suggesting more collab, so that makes sense.
But the problem with Frank is like you cannot split, right? You cannot.
Yeah, it's the same. I get it.
On both ways. That's the reason I don't go there anymore, because it's getting like he's not come, I don't go, because we do this at the same hours now. So it's too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
Edmonton is Seattle. You know what's funny? A lot of
Seattle's a definite.
I spoke with Frank this morning. He said you should do Seattle.
Well, we're going to. We've said that we're going to do Seattle Kraken. So this is the start of it. But I think I've got a tie to that community, so I know it pretty well. I mean, actually, Pierre, our trainer from Everett, I didn't realize, but Stucky's gone. He's got a job with the Seattle Kraken.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Oops, sorry, there's some noise there. Probably. Sorry about that, guys. Young prospects, and I think that was the idea behind the Pucks and Dreams channel, was put prospects there maybe and put like team-specific NHL content here or clips there that come over, because
a lot of people do a lot. He's actually in Everett, by the way.
Oh, you're in Everett. I work with the Everett Silvertips, so that's funny. We're
all right. Time to go. 12:20 for me. I have a lot of work to do. So,
all right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, everybody. Subscribe, Tristan. Please subscribe to the show. That'd be awesome. Every night, 9 o'clock p.m. We'll be live tonight. Have an amazing, great Monday, everybody.